up guys, welcome back to the videos. Mikey from JDM Icon here. It is a beautiful day in Winnipeg right now. The skies are blue, the sun is out, the snow is finally melting. But you know what that means. We are here with a dirty Z. I don't know if it shows up on camera, but this will probably show up on camera. I washed my car last night for this video. And yeah, just driving it around, it got dirty again. But anyways, this video, I'm gonna be telling you the truth about the 350Z interior. So nowadays, the 350Z is really achievable for a lot of people who are getting into the car scene or just want like a daily driver, a first car, a first sports car. I have a few videos explaining how and why the 350Z is such a good platform to get into. Not only are the parts cheap, it's not that bad on fuel, and it's a really easy car to work on and modify as well. We're gonna be covering the interior quality, comfort, space, and practicality of the 350Z. So with some of the 350Zs nowadays being over 15 years old, I feel like the interior has held up pretty decently because some of the cars that I have experienced in the past, like 2003 Subaru Legacy, the dashes tend to crack, and kind of like the S13s, dashes over time deteriorate and crack. The 350Zs, I haven't seen a cracked dash on one yet. I feel like Nissan really stepped up their interior quality, especially in the 350Z. I do have a JDM 350Z. I don't know if the interiors are any different in terms of quality. I do know that this part here, especially in the US DM ones, tend to really scratch up. I haven't had any issues with my dashboard or this like trim piece here scratching up at all. It's actually, oh, why am I in gear? What the hell? It actually held up pretty well, and again, I drive this car every day for the last 3 years and I haven't had any issues. The same thing with this area here right by the door handle. Usually this scratches on the USDM versions of the 350Z. I don't see any really bad scratches on mine. Again, I don't feel like it's that big of a deal. Plus there are carbon fiber overlays that you can put over these, and you can even take this apart, wrap it, and then like have it be as good as new again. In terms of how well the 350Z interior held up over time, I honestly feel like this car did a great job. Like I said, the dashboard didn't crack, they're pretty durable, and the plastic they use in the interior doesn't really rattle a whole lot. The only thing that rattles in my car in terms of the interior is this cup holder here, which is currently broken. You're supposed to push it in and it's supposed to come out, but it's like stuck in there. It's like, I think it's jammed, but now that it's stuck closed, it actually doesn't rattle. So it's kind of a win-lose situation. It's not that bad, and I don't really use it a whole lot because it's kind of flimsy. Overall, I feel like the 350Z interior did age pretty decently, pretty well. Again, it's not perfect, but for what the car is and comparing it to other cars from relatively from the same year, like again, the 2007 Lexus IS250, IS350, and the Subaru Legacies, those dashboards tend to crack, and the 350Z actually held up pretty well. So the next thing on the list is comfort. And the 350Z, in my opinion, is pretty comfortable for a car, for a daily driver, or like a car if you want to go on like a long drive or something. Again, you only have 2 seats, so it's not exactly the most practical car to take on a long drive, especially if you plan on taking a lot of things with you or a bunch of people. You can only have 1 passenger. But in terms of that 1 passenger and yourself, it isn't that bad. The seats have decent bolstering if you do want to go to the track and you also want this to be your daily and you don't want it to be too uncomfortable for daily use. These seats are actually pretty comfortable. They hold you in quite well, I would say, and they're easy to get in and out of. And I'm about 5'6", 5'7". I fit in the Z fairly well. And also I do have a friend that is 6'11" or something like that. He's really, really tall. I let him drive my Z. Obviously he had to push the seat all the way back, but he did say that he did fit in the car and it wasn't that bad. So again, if you're really tall and you want a 350Z, it's not that bad. I would highly recommend you maybe ask someone if you can sit in their car, or maybe check one out and ask them if, you know, if you could like see if you would fit in it, something like that. I've never had that problem, obviously. The seats overall, they're pretty comfortable. And again, I drift this car and I haven't had too many issues in sort of sliding in the seats. I would say these seats, they're not bad for a long drive, daily use, and track use, but they don't do any of those 3 super well, if that makes sense. Because I have the leather seats, I kind of slide in the seat back and forth a little bit while going sideways. The bolstering, again, holds me in decently well, so I can't really complain too much about it. And in terms of daily use, I haven't had any like back issues or back pains because of these seats as compared to like my Evo Recaros. how spacious is the 350Z? Again, I'm not the tallest guy and I'm not the widest guy either, but I feel like the 350Z has a pretty good amount of space inside the car. The only car I could really compare this to is my S2000 I had before. And if you guys want to check out my old S2000, I have a couple of videos on it. You can check it out over here. The S2000 was a comfortable car, but it didn't have a lot of space. And that's something I really didn't like about the S2000. It was a fun car to drive, but I felt pretty crammed in the car. Like the driving position was pretty good, but I just felt it was kind of narrow, if that makes sense. And the 350Z is a little bit wider. I feel like the 350Z is a lot more comfortable. It's a lot wider. You have a lot more space to kind of just relax in the car and stuff. So the Z has a good amount of leg room. You can spread your legs pretty wide in here, I would say, if you're gonna be doing that. At the same time, this car is not an SUV, it's a sports car, and for a sports car, for a two-door sports car, I feel like Nissan did a great job in terms of making the passenger and the driver have a good amount of room to kind of move around in, get in and out. And obviously, again, going for long drives, it's not that bad. And honestly, comparing this car to my Evo, which is a mid-size sedan, the space that you get in terms of the front two seats are relatively the same. So that's something to consider if you're wanting to buy a 350Z. Oh man, here comes the biggest one. How is a 350Z practicality? So I'll be completely honest with you guys. The first 3 points were pretty good, and the last one, the Z is gonna struggle here a little bit. It's not the most practical car. I mean, just looking at the car, it is a two-door sports car. Yes, it's a hatchback. You do have a lot more space in something like this than you would like a two-door coupe. You can fit a decent amount of things in here, and it's not that bad if you don't plan on putting a lot of big things in here. There is some things you can do to help get more luggage space. Like what I've done before is take the spare out and take the styrofoam pieces here and on the other side and just have it straight to the floor. That gives you almost an extra foot of depth in the trunk. But I usually just keep it in here just because it looks a lot cleaner. But again, this is relatively all the space you get in the 350Z trunk. Going to the glove compartment of the car, there is literally almost no room in terms of this area here. Some cars had a GPS here. My mom has a GPS in her Z, but me, I have just this little cubby that I put just random stuff in here that I receipts or just whatever stuff I just get within the day, just throw it in here. There is no glove box here. The glove box is actually behind the front seat, which if you have a passenger and you get pulled over, which by the way, if you ever get pulled over in a 350Z, pray to God that you're not like me and you don't have a right-hand drive 350Z. It is so awkward getting pulled over in this car because again, there's no glove box where the glove box usually is in front of the passenger seat. It is behind this passenger seat, not in front, behind the passenger seat. So let's just say we just got pulled over. The cop goes over to this side because he assumes the steering wheel is on the other side. He asked for my license and registration. I have a passenger here. Whether that's your best friend or an ABG, I have no clue. Whoever that is, you're gonna have to lean forward while the cop is out the window. Lean forward, push the seat all the way forward and grab your registration in the back here because that's where I keep my registration, this cubby. It's really awkward. I've only gotten pulled over I think once or twice in the Z, but still it's pretty awkward for the passenger especially because you're just talking to the cop, and if the cop is nice enough, he will go to the other side. They have done that to me before, but at the same time, your passenger still has nowhere to go. They still have to lean forward for you to get your registration. I guess you could put it in this little net thing here, which would probably be a better idea and a better place for it, but you'd still probably have to have them lean forward a little bit just so you can grab your registration. Speaking of glove boxes and cubbies, the 350Z has 3 of them. 4 if you don't have the Bose sound system, but there is a cubby here which I keep the factory shift knob and some tissues and stuff. There is another one here which I don't even use. This is where I keep like the owner's manual from Japan and stuff. And obviously this big one here. This cubby on the driver's side is actually a sub and a speaker, so I don't know if you can see that. But so to sum up this video, the 350Z is a great car to drive around every day. You have cubbies, you have a decent amount of space and legroom to go on long drives and stuff like that. As long as you pack light, this car is gonna do great. And especially if you're thinking about getting into racing, the seats are gonna do a pretty decent job of holding you in the future. As you get better in terms of racing or whatever you're doing, you could upgrade the seats to hold you in a little bit better. I think Nissan did a pretty good job in making the 350Z interior. It held up pretty well over the years. I haven't had so many issues. Again, this car, technically my car was made in 2002 in Japan, and it's now 2022. So the car is 20 years old. The 350Z interior held up really well. And if you're considering buying a 350Z, hopefully this video helped you out, because I think more people should get into this chassis. One of my friends actually, Tanner, he bought a 350Z and he loves it. He had a G35. He wanted a 240 for a bit, and I think he had like a BMW or something like that and a Subaru, and he is in love with his 350Z and he loves everything about it. So hopefully these videos can get more people into this chassis, because I strongly believe that the 350Z is the next S chassis right now. Next up, I feel like is like the FRS BRZ, because it's kind of expensive, but with the JDM tax nowadays, prices of all JDM cars are kind of holding or going up in value. If you guys want to check out how you can get into the JDM car scene and make money while driving these amazing cars made in Japan, check out this video over here. But that's how I got into these cars, and that's how I'm making money with cars like this. And I honestly think anyone can do it as long as you enjoy driving cars and you're smart with your cars, modifications and money. You got this. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.